So it's only a day later, but I have this week's anime DVD releases. Plenty of space on the inside. And interesting. Looks like it is sticking a little bit, and I think this get everything out of there. Why don't we take a look at this one first? So, as you can see, Kyatto-Ninden Teyandee. I don't know. I do believe this is more well known as Samurai Pizza Cat, although audio is Japanese, subtitles is English. Looks like it's the Japanese version, maybe. I'm not terribly familiar with the show, but I did know that this was coming out. Maybe I should take a look at that older DVD release I thought I saw, because it might have a dub to it, which might mean I want to collect it just for thoroughness' sake. Sorry. Sometimes they just fall apart like that. That's a lot of pizza. I think that pretty much confirms it. So, hold on. How many discs is that in here? 8 discs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. And they're in a slightly not quite closing correctly, slightly unstable box. And yeah, about just a little bit thinner than a DVD and a Blu-ray combined. It's actually fairly compressed. Next we have Psychic Detective Yakumo, which I think was actually supposed to come out longer ago, but has been delayed. In fact, for some reason, I think maybe there were things that were maybe going to come out this week, but didn't come out. Oh well, whatever. Oh wait, we're still looking at this. It's not going to be a Blu-ray version, it looks like, based on the fact that it's not dubbed. Or at least, there's not going to be a Blu-ray version on its way that I pre-ordered and didn't remember. Let's see, we have the original OVA series version of Patlabor. It was also re-released on DVD, but I did buy an older DVD release, and unless I am given a good reason otherwise, I think I'm okay with not repurchasing that one for now. And if I really wanted a better video quality, I have it here on Blu-ray now. I do remember the original OVA series being kind of pricey, but yeah, whatever. So, of course, I ordered other things. Those aren't the only things to arrive. We also got the DVD version of Hiiro no Kakera, I believe. Yeah. We got English audio. And I don't know what was on the other disc. But the DVD version of that arrived. We got I No Kusabi, The Space Between, which is an Anime Works release. I don't know much about it, but something of this reminds me of something else I recently watched. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of that anime whose name I am temporarily having trouble remembering. Level C, I think? Humanity has just been punked, whatever. And then we got Place to Place. Very curious looking one. This one, of course, is DVD only, so it's Japanese with English subtitles, no dub. Sentai is fairly consistent in that way. And I'd say that's everything, but I actually have a good more to go. Let's grab another group. Go with older releases that I caught up on. We've got Night on the Galactic Railroad. Based on the price, I think this one's probably a well-regarded classic of some sort. But I don't know much about it. This one, Negadon, I was wondering if it was anime because, well, I don't know. It looked strange down there, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. It looks like an old monster movie, and based on the getting to the menu while throwing it in the DVD player, I'd say it looks like it's probably a CGI anime meant to look like one of those. Very interesting. Here, we'll center this a bit more. Next up we've got My Mai, which I was a bit concerned about getting. It's also a bit provocative, but I only saw one copy when I started poking around to see what was available. I was willing to pay a lot for this if it had to come down to that, but fortunately, I guess people don't really know about it, and so I got it for $4. I'm okay with that. Samurai Shodown. Very intriguing looking thing. Let's see. Next up we've got the Special Duty Combat Unit Shinesman, or Special Duty Combat Unit Dushin? I don't know. As you can see, this, based on the way this bends, this has definitely been cut down into a thinner DVD layer. An evil thing I've seen people do. Looks like it was also formerly a rental copy, maybe. Which is unfortunate, but I am okay with that simply because I am trying to just collect them for now as opposed to worrying too much about being in the best quality ever. Next up we have Red Hawk, Weapon of Death, which it looks a lot more like anime like this than in the little thumbnail that I saw. It looks almost like something out of DBZ though. Keyword almost, not exactly. We've got Space Travelers, the animation. Don't know much about that. Sailor Victory, whose name made me think of, I don't know, maybe the Saint Beasts or something like that. Some other anime that could have also been Saint Seiya, where I'm like, yeah, it's probably a bunch of guys on there, but maybe they're girls. Although it was pointed out that they do kind of have a guyish design to them, so I'd have to look at it. Has me a bit curious. And then, last but not least, we have The Samurai, which is a very straightforward looking release. Yeah, I don't know much else to talk about there. Let's see, the only other things to arrive, oh yeah, I have to go get that. So basically, let's see, you saw yesterday's gift exchange stuff. I also had a birthday very recently, and while there isn't any DVDs specifically added to the collection, although getting this was pretty cool. Full Throttle, Dark Forces, two excellent games. I did get something really neat, and that would be... So the story behind these begins as follows. I have a friend who's up in Dallas. He's wanting to go back to Japan. He was deployed there with the Navy, I guess, and he has a couple of years in which to get a degree so that he can go back there on a more permanent basis, I think. So he's up in Dallas, going to college really intensely. But since he's up in Dallas, I think Funimation's headquarters is up there, and he applied for a random voice acting thing. He didn't get a voice acting position as far as I know, and Funimation's probably always looking for one-off characters for things. That was the impression he gave, at least. But the story goes that he, in that process, got into contact with somebody there, and he got me these, which are signed by a lot of people there. I intended to go through and try and figure out who all these are, but there's just so many here that, I don't know, it's almost a task on itself. This was actually a very spectacular birthday present that caught everybody by surprise just to how thoughtful it was. Not only because, you know, it was him doing something, but, you know, there's I'm trying to remember. Like right here, we see a happy birthday Emmett right there. So this is actually kind of a happy birthday from a bunch of people from Funimation as well, which is actually pretty cool. If y'all are watching this video, I received these, and I still have to try and figure out who all these signatures are. It's just been a busy couple of days with birthday and all that, but this is definitely a very awesome addition, not really to the DVD collection, but just to the anime collection in general. I still have to figure out what I'm going to do to display these, because they're not going to hide amongst the regular DVDs. So that's a pretty awesome thing right there, and I definitely had to share that with y'all. Maybe some of y'all can help me identify this person's signature, which is definitely on all three of these, unless that's their name right there, and I just haven't had a chance to look too closely. Oh well. Let's just scoot on over here to talk about a couple things I watched real quick. Because it really wasn't a whole lot. I think the number one thing that may have delayed... Okay, there were a couple of things that delayed the watching of stuff. One of those is obviously birthday stuff. Because like I said, there was some celebrating of it that went over the weekend. It isn't anything big, but it does mean I had company over, and the watching of anime did not happen mostly during those. I mean, Naruto Shippuden watching did happen. That got pushed out pretty late into the evening on Friday. Technically till about 5 in the morning. So, more closer to Saturday than to Friday. I just realized my screensaver is not my normal screensaver, and I don't know why. So, Naruto Shippuden did all get watched. We stopped at the second disc on Friday night / Saturday morning, and then finished the third disc. And that one was definitely a really good one to watch. I mean, I talked about how the series had been building up really well and finally telling a really decent story. It just took it 300 episodes or so to get there. And maybe it's on the other side, or maybe not. I know somebody said that there's some more fillerish coming up that's maybe not as awesome as the stuff we've seen up till now. So we're going to have to see what happens from this point. But the arc that was concluded was a very satisfying conclusion. And I would have been just fine with stopping at that point and waiting until we collected a couple more, because it would be hard for the series to build up on top of that properly. I'm trying to remember what some of the things we saw were. They weren't too bad, since at this point, since a lot of the series has been made relevant-ish, there's been some reminiscing on the part of Naruto Shippuden, I guess, that started going on, and it's not been bad, actually. It's actually been kind of interesting, because it's like, how well do I remember this part? I've personally seen those parts twice. Once when I was first given a bunch of Naruto episodes burnt onto a CD 10 years ago. I don't know how long ago that was. And then the second time when I started watching it on DVD with a friend that I'm watching it on as the DVD season sets started coming out. But just because I've seen them twice doesn't mean I necessarily remember them twice. And, you know, it's kind of interesting to see how well you remember things, I guess. But, yeah, you know, all that talk about anime, that anime aside, the reason I haven't done much is not only just the birthday thing, but I've also been trying to get the Charles person from the DVD collection subreddit that you've probably heard me say, give a shout out to, I guess. Basically, we've watched Avatar: Last Airbender Season 1 before, so I am pushing him to get through Seasons 2 and 3. Well, pushing would be more like... It'd probably be more accurate to say that I might have random active DVD'd him copies of the second and the third season so that he would actively watch them, and since the way those came out was actually rather perfect, we watched the second season over the weekend. Good series. But yeah, that's just a delay. I love the second season. We watched third season tonight. Watched the last episode of K-On! And 2 episodes from the 2 K-On! Special episodes, which Bandai included as episodes 13 and 14 of K-On! I watched those with my brother tonight, and then we watched more Avatar: The Last Airbender with Charles, and everything was good. But again, it's kind of getting away from anime, and the only other anime thing to really talk about is I did start rewatching an anime called Kamichu, which is, well, it's kind of interesting to see how much has been animated about it, even though there's not really a whole lot happening to it. It's a kind of nice, laid-back anime with an amusing premise that's not thrown in your face, forced in your face, or even thoroughly explored so much as just simply lived through. And if you're not familiar with the series, the basic idea is a middle school girl suddenly became a god. And by god, we're not talking about the kind of god like from The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, which can supposedly change the structure of the universe all around her, but rather more the concept of the traditional Japanese god, which may have some powers of their own, but are generally quite numerous, and etc., etc., etc. But even still, the anime presents her as being a potentially powerful one, and just the kind of interesting events that happen concerning that sort of stuff. And it's a pleasant rewatch. I didn't have a lot of energy yesterday, and it worked out. That said, talking about these 2 animes I've watched, I do have to wonder, given that I've received a Funimation, a gift from Funimation, how long it's been since I've watched the Funimation release, and I'm trying to remember what Funimation releases have come out. To be fair, I do fire up randomly Evangelion 1.11 and 2.22, so I probably never mention those here because it's always just, oh my god, I feel like rewatching that scene. And those are 2 movies that are really good scenes to go back and rewatch. 3.33, it sounds like it's probably not going to be as impactful as 2.22, but I think that'll be okay. Because sometimes the third acts for spectacular things aren't spectacular compared to the other surrounding acts. I mention this based on a feeling I sometimes get when I watch something, and I don't know if it's the third act or it's the second act. And I'll have to watch the third movie to see if maybe it could be something like that. But the Blu-ray release in Japan is it doesn't have English subtitles, so I'm not going to import that, and I'm just going to wait for Funimation to get it, and then I'll buy their DVD and their Blu-ray copy. Yay! I guess before I end, if there's anything else worth mentioning, it's my recent paycheck did have a bonus. This is the company's first time playing with bonus, so I decided, at least for this bonus, to celebrate a little bit by buying a couple of expensive things I've been trying to forget that are really expensive and out there that I really ought to get. Maybe they'll arrive by next week, maybe not. My Mai arrived pretty quickly. I didn't know if it would make it in time for this week's or not, even though eBay always predicts that things will arrive very fast. But I guess we'll find out. Worst case, it doesn't arrive next week, it arrives the week after, whatever. Next month is actually looking like a pretty good month for anime releases, as long as there's not a bunch of delays like there seems to have been in April. To the point where I wasn't going to pad anything for blah blah blah. So, maybe it'll make next week interesting, or maybe not. So, I guess we'll find out. Y'all have a nice week, and I guess it's May 1st, and it was just pointed out. So y'all have a happy International Workers' Day.